Hi, my name is Kathy Wallander. I teach art at Audubon High School. What follows is a wheel throwing demonstration I did for my students.
Okay, now we have a ball of clay. This is about 2 pounds of clay right here. Maybe not quite, maybe 1.5 pounds. It's a nice size to start with. Don't try and start too big because there's a lot of clay, and until you're used to being able to center the clay, it'll try and throw you around a little bit. So we're going to start with about 1.5 pounds of clay. This wheel turns on right here. There's an off and on switch. It's a variable speed wheel, and it runs kind of like a car foot feet. So you're going to press down a little bit. Don't get to going too fast or you're going to try and get out of control. So we're just going to start out going about a medium speed. I'm going to eyeball center, and I'm going to try and throw this thing down right in the middle. Okay, got it pretty well. It's a little off center. You can see it wobbling. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring that into center. The way we do that is to use water and a sponge. You're going to put water on the clay, and you're going to take your hands, put them on both sides of the clay, and you're going to begin to push and compress that until the point where you can bring it into center. Now your arms aren't as strong as your legs. So instead of being out here like this, anchor your arms into your legs and push also with your legs. So that's what I'm going to do. And immediately it comes into center. First thing you want to do is bring it into a cone shape, bring it up because you're bringing the unevenness to the top. So bring it up into a cone shape. And then one hand over the other one, and I'm resting my thumb kind of right on the top, not making a groove, but just resting it on the top. I'm going to use 2 hands together, and I'm going to push that back down. I'm going to center it as big as the piece of pottery that I want to make. You can't, once you get it pulled up, you can't make it any bigger, wider. You can make it taller, but you can't make it wider. So I'm going to try and get this centered into the shape that I want. Again, 2 hands, always my elbows into the knees or the legs. Then I'm going to begin to open this up. So I'm going to groove a hole in the middle with my left thumb, and I'm going to take my thumbs and put them together. Again, I'm not out here like this. I've got my elbows anchored into my legs. It should be a comfortable position that you don't feel weird. It should just be very comfortable, very natural. You can take your thumbs and you're going to push down together. It'll get dry inside, so you want to put more moisture in. Go down to about a little over 1/4 inch from the bottom of the pot. Then you're going to begin to flatten out the bottom. The motion on that is like this. Not like this, like this, so that we don't open up that rim too much. I want to keep that in there. Now, I'm about 1/4 inch from the bottom. I just, from experience, know that, but when I put my needle in here, I can actually measure that. That's about 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to begin to compress the bottom. Some people use their fingers to do that. You can do that if you'd like. I like this tool right here. It's a rib. It's got a flat bottom. And I just push that down just lightly. It gets all the little lumps out of there and compresses the bottom. Then I'm going to put water in it. I'm going to collar the top of it back in a little bit so that I can begin to pull the walls. When I move over and start pulling the walls up, I need to be over here at 5 o'clock. So if you're sitting straight with the wheel, you can pretend that it's a clock. At noon is, or 12 o'clock is right here. 5 is going to be about right here. That's the natural place for a right-handed person to be. If you have a wheel that turns the other direction, that would turn the other direction, and you were left-handed, you would be over here. But I'm right-handed, so I'm out here. I'm going to put my left hand over the top of it. I'm just going to rest my thumb down there. I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting it ride there. Then I'm going to take these fingers, and I'm going to put the sponge in front of them, like this. I'm going to take those 2 fingers and I'm going to begin to pull the wall. So I'm going to make a little groove down there. So I've got a place to get under it. And then I'm going to begin to put a little pressure inward and start pulling upward. My left hand isn't doing anything but bracing. The operational hand is my right hand. So I'm all the way to the top. And I've thinned it down from about there to about there. And then I set the lip. Every time I do a pull, I set the lip. I don't want that lip to get out of control and too thin, so I set it every time. And I'm going to go down underneath again, make a little groove, get under it with my fingers. Gravity is going to want to keep that clay down. So you have to pull a little hard to get it up, but you don't want to rip it off. So you have to be kind of careful. Get up to the rim. I always stop just shy of the rim, set the rim again, and put a little more water in. A good wheel thrower can basically throw like this with about 3 pulls. Sometimes it takes a couple more, just depends on if you're having problems or not. Always put your water on. I kind of run it down my hand like that so that some of it goes on the outside, some of it goes on the inside. And I'm going to go down, I'm going to pull one more time. You see how I've got my thumb from my left hand braced on my right hand? You want one tool coming up the side of that piece of pottery instead of 2 working independently. That's the strength and that's the stability that you get. Again, set the lid, and the pot is pretty much thinned out. So I went from about that thick to about that thick to about that thick. You want your walls about 1/4 inch. Now you can begin to do what you want to do. You can round it out, or you can pull it in, or you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to come from the bottom, and I'm going to just round it up a little bit, and what I'm doing is I'm pressing out from the inside, but I've got my right hand bracing. Now my right hand is pushing in and my left hand is bracing. It's just kind of that way. If you're pushing out, you're working both directions. Do it a little bit at a time so you don't end up losing it. If you feel your hand kind of dragging, you need to moisten it back up again. There are different ribs that you can get to use that are kind of shaping tools. Like this one right here is called a rubber kidney. And if you wanted to, you could bend that, hold it on the outside, and press the clay into it. That way you have an even curve, the curve that you want. If you want to straighten the rim, you can use this tool and come in and just press that in. It also might leave a little mark for you if you want that. I also use this to do a little decorating with that. Or if you want a decoration on the side, you can use the wheel turning to make kind of a neat decoration if you want that. The last step is to get the excess clay off the bottom because there always will be. Again, gravity wants to keep it down there. So there's a little thickness right down here at the bottom. I take this tool, it's just a wooden trim tool, and I come in and start up here, bracing with my left hand and cutting that extra clay away that's at the bottom. I'm going to go all the way down to the back. And I'm going to stop the wheel, then I'm going to come in here and go backwards at it and just real slowly get that extra clay away from there. So now I have a pot that's pretty much the shape that I want it. I can smooth it out just a little bit from where I've been carving away at it. I can round the lip or I can cut the lip off. This one's pretty even, but the way you would cut the lip off is just to make the OK sign with your left hand, rest it right below the rim, put a needle, this is a needle, you're going to put it right on your thumb, brace it on your thumb, and then you're just going to ease that through. Let it go through slowly until you feel it all the way around, and then just lift it off. Now that left a kind of a rough rim up there, so just come back with your sponge, round it up a little bit, true it back up. You can do whatever you want with the rim. This is when you would put a flange in if you were going to make a lid later or something like that. The last step for the throwing process is to get the water out of the inside. You don't want to leave water sitting in there because it'll deteriorate the bottom. You don't want that. But you're going to lift it off of here. If you're doing a pot about this size, you can lift them. I like throwing right on the wheel head because it doesn't vibrate or bounce around. If you're doing something larger, you probably want to use a bat that fits on the wheel. The next step then is to cut it off, so you can lift it off. This is a cut-off wire. Just wrap it around your hand. Push it down with your thumbs, pulling out at the same time, then you're just going to run that underneath it. Pushing it down as hard as you can. You don't want to take the bottom out of it. These are little bats that you can get to just set your pottery on. And these are lift tools. I like lifting them with tools because it distorts them the least. Just put that right into the rim until you can get it to move. And just lift it up and pull it out. So there you have a nice little form. It's about 1.5 pounds, maybe close to 2 pounds of clay. It's hard to say right now without weighing it, but that's a good size to start with. It's a good size to try and manipulate. If you go any larger than that, it might be a little hard for the first time. But there you have it.